Big news as Chainlink and the DTCC have completed their trial run. Major banks are partnering with Chainlink. What does that mean for the Link token? And are RWA tokens about to take off? What are some of those ones you should have on your radar? We're going to discuss that. Also, ETF flows so far in May, the positive flows have completely wiped out the negative flows that came in April. Could we see a 70K Bitcoin before the new week starts? We're going to discuss that. Also, big Hadera news, big Avalanche news, of course, as mentioned, big Chainlink news, and Coinbase came out with an article why they're bullish on Ethereum and why they think that there's still a good chance the Ethereum ETF gets approved in May. We're going to discuss that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go. It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, and, well, stale information and repackage that whole thing up in a fun and sexy way. David, question, did you miss me yesterday? Oh, so much. Yes. I missed you so much, I offered Forrest to buy out your share of the company. What's the value of that? Is it over or under $5,000? At this rate, I'm not sure. Over or under 1 Solana? How much do I owe? Speaking of Forrest, we got Forrest joining us. It is Forrest Friday. We're both wearing black here. Forrest, I'm happy you lighten up the color there. Thank you for joining us, man. Pleasure to have you on. We love having you join us. How's your day been going so far, man? You excited about this big Chainlink news? Markets are looking like they've kind of hit a corner here. Everything, sentiment is back. People are bullish. We're back again, guys. We're so back.
Yeah, market's looking good on a lot of fronts in the short term here. It looks like we could see some pumps, so I'm looking forward to it.
We look like an Oreo. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Come on.
Let's start. I love Oreos. You know, my wife recently, she started buying Oreos and then putting them in the freezer. Have you guys ever had frozen Oreos?
No.
I don't buy Oreo.
I'm not ice cream.
I'm not a fan. Yeah. I take them out of the freezer and then I dip them in milk. Anyways.
Wow, that is so crazy. Revolutionary. You should make
life hacks and food hacks here at Sin City Crypto.
Yeah, wow. Milk and cookies. Who would have ever thought,
We're going to call you the alchemist now.
Funny, Rocco only chimes in when we talk about XRP. All right. Let's talk about Chainlink. Pretty massive news here, guys. This kind of seemingly kicked off some of the RWA token pump. So DTCC and Chainlink complete fund data tokenization pilot with top U.S. banks. The world's largest settlement layer, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, which handles quadrillions of dollars of transactions every single year, and the blockchain oracle Chainlink have wrapped up a pilot program with several major banking firms in the United States to increase traditional finance fund tokenization. The Smart NAV pilot program was conducted to standardize a method of providing net asset value data of funds across blockchains using Chainlink's CCIP protocol. The pilot found that by delivering structured data on chain and creating standard roles and processes, foundational data could be embedded into a multitude of on-chain use cases, such as tokenized funds and bulk customer smart contracts. Very interesting one there, which are contracts that hold data from multiple funds. These capabilities could support future industry exploration, as well as powering numerous downstream use cases like brokerage applications, more automated data dissemination, and easier access to historical data for funds. The United States banking firms that participated include American Century Investments, BNY Mellon, Edward Jones, Franklin Templeton, Invesco, JP Morgan Chase, MFS Investment Management, Mid-Atlantic Trust, State Street, and U.S. Banks. So some heavy hitters there. And a couple of tweets I want to share. This one from formerly known as Chainlink God, Zach Rhines. Chainlink is and always has been the dark horse of the RWA tokenization narrative. We always talk about RWA, we talk about Hadera, we talk about Ethereum, we talk about Ondo Finance. We don't really bring up Chainlink I'll kind of stop here before I read on, but I mean, Rob, should we be throwing in Chainlink with the RWA talk when we speak of RWA coins, and what are some projects that could really, catapult with this RWA narrative?
What doesn't Chainlink excel at, right? And you have, well, the gold standard for Oracle services. You have the cross-chain interoperability with CCIP. They're working with banks. I feel like the program itself is pretty decentralized, right? The actual chain and the token, what it does, its utility. I feel like, hey, man, they've made a badass protocol that does a lot of damn things. And, well, it seems, though, it's a pretty decentralized program. But the Chainlink Foundation, the people that, make the decisions on the direction of Chainlink token and its utility, I feel like they're just making all the right partnerships, right? They are making the right moves. And so you have this beautiful suite of company infrastructure where, hey, you got the planning and rollout and utility of the Chainlink token that, well, covers pretty much all of the trending topics, right? Right now, what are the other chains doing? Phantom's talking about meme coins. Avalanche is, well, working on gaming, hoping gaming really becomes a thing, but who's really been just knocking these things out of the park? And it's been Chainlink. And I know we've mentioned before, I'm like, hey, what am I most bullish on as far as a sector when it comes to this coming bull market? It's DeFi, right? It's finance. And when you read the Bitcoin white paper at the very top, it says peer-to-peer payment network, right? And so for me, at its core, that's why crypto was invented, right? It was to be decentralized, a movement of value or money, or more value when you think about it. And that's essentially what Chainlink is doing now. It started as an Oracle service that feeds data into smart contracts, into the layer ones. But hey, damn, man, it's like they snuck in there, right? It was like the Trojan horse, and they snuck in like, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get every layer one to integrate us because we're going to be the most badass Oracle network, right? And then later on, we're going to create interoperability because, well, we're already in it. We're already used by most of the layer ones or most of the other crypto blockchains. They're already got us integrated in there. So why don't we just connect the dots, right? Make everyone interoperable. And then why don't we just go sign up banks and nation states and companies and say, hey, everything's interconnected. You want to work with crypto, work with us, and we'll help you move assets around. And you know what? We'll tokenize them too. And so that's zoom out, look at Chainlink. Now, the only thing I'll say about Chainlink is that at face value for the retail user, it might not be the most attractive play. I don't think they're going to have these giant parabolic run-ups. I think that just steady, sustained growth up and to the right. I think if you zoom out and look 4 or 6 years from now, you're going to be like, damn, why didn't I get a position on Chainlink? But I think that buying now and then waiting a couple years through this bull market, I think you might be a little disappointed because of some of the altcoins might outperform because their other chains just are more sexy as far as retail.
Yeah, I was just going to say Chainlink isn't the sexy pick, but it's the fundamental pick, right? I mean, you mentioned it's a gold standard of oracles. When Pith came out, everyone's like, "Oh, it's it's gonna upend Chainlink," but Pith had. I mean, take a look here. I just did a quick Google search. Pith said a bug caused an error that caused its feed to DeFi developers show a significantly incorrect price for Bitcoin, impacting many Solana-run projects. That like when you talk about the importance of what a project does. When you talk about millions and billions of dollars that are transacted in crypto, in DeFi, and in finance on chain, you cannot have things like this happen. And I'm not saying this makes Pith a bad project or whatever, but there's a reason you just can't cut back on there's certain things you buy at the grocery store that you're not going to buy the cheap version. You're going to spend the money and buy the better version, right? You cannot, as a serious protocol, a serious project, not go with the gold standard, which is Chainlink. Forrest, I guess I'll ask you the same question, man. Is Chainlink the dark horse of real world asset tokenizations? And, you know, Rob's big thing, you know, I'm ultra bullish on Chainlink. Rob's big thing is, hey, this CCIP thing, I'm very bullish, but it's going to take some time. What are your thoughts on where Chainlink is this cycle and where it's going? And if you want to throw a price prediction in there, feel free to do so.
Yeah, so I think like Chainlink's always going to have a place. It's got like a massive moat. Next time you guys talk about Chainlink on a show, though, you guys should have my brother on. He used to work at Chainlink, and now he's doing like some stuff on Avalanche.
How do we not know this?
I knew this. He said it like 5
I
times.
thought I've mentioned that before. Yeah, my brother used to work at Chainlink, and then he started his own company. He does like, so they're doing some real world asset data feed stuff too. Like they just had a project that they actually won the Chainlink hackathon because they tokenized gold and put like gold that is still unmined. They put that on the blockchain. They tokenized it. So he'd definitely be a good person to talk to on Chainlink. He'd have a much better view than myself. But yeah, I mean, I think Chainlink's always going to be a top token that has a leader, competitive advantage and a moat, just in the fact that they have so many deployments and they're the trusted source of on-chain data. So yeah, bullish on Chainlink. The chart does look a little suspect, but I think if it reclaims like $18 or so, it starts looking really, really good. You just want to watch out for like a head and shoulders forming.
What do you mean
in the short term here?
You know, I was going to ask you for a Chainlink chart. You know, Chainlink is up almost 20% over the last 24 hours. You mentioned suspect. Is it the head and shoulders you're talking about, or what are you seeing there on the chart?
Yeah, so a lot of times on like news pumps, you got to be a little bit careful because, you know, everybody buys in on the news and then like attention fades. And what you don't want to see is like a rejection here at the top of this range. So you just have this just here that have formed, right? And then we fell back into this prior range and we are at the top of that prior where you would have wanted to long this, where you would have wanted to pick up some Chainlink is obviously at the bottom of the range that we were currently trading in. Now we're trading at the top of this range. If we flip it, build support, then a great place to pick up some Chainlink around $16 to $18, but on the bottom of the that we were trading in, right? So this to me is just a little bit of a no trade zone, right? Like you don't know if this is going to come right back down to the bottom of the range that we've been in, down to like $12, $13, or if it breaks through, you can look to pick it up, of course. But I'd say overall, a lot of charts look really good. I mean, you have some just basic market structure forming here where we've had this downtrend break with volume, and that's a really good sign. So yeah, I think Chainlink is solid project. You just want to be wait for a little bit more clarity, in my opinion, on Chainlink to be looking to buy. Otherwise, just wait for it to come back to the bottom of the range. If it does, I don't think it's going to. Personally, I'm more bullish on it, but you just want to be careful that you're not getting this, head and shoulders situation that could be pretty dangerous if the market turns around on you.
Yeah, and then Forrest, those two red lines you have, right? You're saying if it reclaims it, well, what are those price levels there? You said $18?
That's like 1660 all the way up to like 1770. So if we start trading up in this zone, I think that's fine. That's got momentum. It's reclaimed the range. By all means, jump. You just like when you have a big potential head and shoulders forming on a chart, and it's not that I'm bearish Chainlink. I'm really not. I'm actually bullish, and I think it's going to reclaim. You just don't want to get caught up potentially buying that right shoulder, right? You don't want to buy that right shoulder resistance on that first attempt up, and then just find yourself bag holding into a really nasty sell off. I don't think that's going to happen, but you got to respect the charts, right? You got to just exercise some caution so you don't get caught in a bad situation.
Awesome, thanks for that, Forrest. I do want to share one more tweet from Zach. So this was a tweet he put out. Chainlink connects banks to blockchains. It's that simple. No need to overcomplicate it. And so this picture here, I think, is a great representation. We talk about interoperability. I think what makes Chainlink very unique is it not only connects public blockchains, but private ones as well. And so we talk about true interoperability, not just in the public blockchain side, but the private one as well. You can see here kind of how it's mapped out. And the great thing too, when we talk about what makes it bullish from a standpoint of, hey, am I going to make money with this token? You look at, okay, well, what value and what does this bring to the Link token? The Link token serves as a universal gas token for everything running through CCIP. So whether you're sending a transaction from a near account and you got to grab something from Ethereum and bring it back, the settlement in the middle there, to settle it, is the Link token is used. And so when you pay with Near, it gets converted to Link, and then on the other end, you dip into the Ethereum pool, you pay the ETH there, bring it back, Link again, and then send it back to your Near account. You have that. You have staking that went live that didn't even get to the public, right? It had 3 phases. The second phase was when it got completely filled. 40 million Link tokens are now currently staked. And so why is that important? Well, less supply that's able to be sold because it's staked. Now, of course, people can unstake it and sell it, but a lot less likely, or it'll take a lot longer to see, and we probably won't see those massive dumps that happen in a very short period of time. So super bullish on Chainlink, man. I've been bullish on Chainlink. I've been buying Chainlink at $5, $6, $7. If you've been watching our channel, hopefully you have been as well. And then I just found this website, RWA.xyz. Kind of shows you, private credit tokenization, U.S. Treasuries, stablecoins, commodities, and real estate is coming soon. But I want you guys to look at the far right here, and you take a look at market caps of projects and layer ones that are doing RWAs. Obviously, Ethereum takes a big piece of the pie, but I was very surprised to see Stellar Lumens in here. At number 2. You have Solana, Polygon, and XDC. And so this is something to keep an eye on. Obviously, we know RWAs is going to be a very big narrative. And you can see here the different funds and products and what networks they're built on. Obviously, the biggest one is BlackRock's, built on Ethereum with over $420 million in market cap. Second one is going to be Franklin Templeton's U.S. government money fund. This is built using Stellar and Polygon. And so, we had this conversation yesterday, Forrest. Is Ethereum dead? I'm not as bullish on Ethereum as some people are, but when you start hearing those narratives of the most valuable smart contract platform in the entire space, the one that's been around the longest, it's got the most amount of developers, the biggest foundation, the most value, and you take a look at stuff like this, I mean, it's across the board, like almost all Ethereum. And so this is just something to keep an eye on, man. You want to go where the money is going. And obviously, these TradFi companies like BlackRock, like Franklin Templeton, they got a lot of money, and they got a lot of money to deploy, and they got a lot of sway and pull in the market as well. And so Ethereum is something that you do not want to fade. You might not get the most X's out of it compared to something like Solana or Avalanche or Near Protocol, but it's about as safe a bet as you can have, in my personal opinion. So that'll do it for that. I do want to give before we move on, a big shout out to our channel sponsor. Today's crystal clear 4K stream is brought to you by Cam's Blue Wire Technology. They're our only IT partner, and they're also our longest tenure sponsor. We love them. We appreciate them. If you run a business and you want to maximize your networking, scaling, and IT and cybersecurity, you're going to want to visit bluewiretech.com or pick up the phone and call them. There's a website on the screen, or there's a link in the description of this video.
I did want to give a little love to the chat as well. For those of you that are new here, checking us out for the first time, say hello. We'd love to give you a little recognition on the back end. I did spot a few new names. We got Crypto Farmer, Michael C., Amy Lives, Crypto Mike, Milton Bates, Jonas, Crypto Nate, LOL. LOL said, ICP, let's go, with a rocket emoji. I wanted to point that out because we got an ICP video coming out.
Big roadmap
later
upgrade
today. So just we like to put our news out like at the moment. We like to come in here in the morning, switch everything up, change our videos, and that's because we want to give you the most up-to-date, relevant, and new breaking news. So we do have a new roadmap for ICP coming out. So also one more other name here. You have Brandon Rue as well, living in Westlake, new crypto. And also, I see Biomex in here, so big shout out to you. So to all of you that are new and checking us out, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Let's get the
Also,
likes up, Phil.
I saw Jimmy ask if we're going to be in Texas. Rob and I will be in Austin, Texas for Consensus. We're flying in Tuesday, the 28th. We'll be there until Friday. And so if you're going to be in Austin at Consensus, you're part of our community. We'd love to meet you, hang out with you, maybe have a drink with you. Who knows?
Also, Rare Evo is coming up next month or in August. So a little over a month from now. 2 months, something like that. Anyways, we'll be here in Las Vegas at Rare Evo, and I think we got a code. I think it's OLA, O-L-A, but I have to check to see if that's valid. But I know we were talking to the founders there.
Yeah.
So
We'll be there as well.
we want to meet the community. So, hey, guys, if you're in Vegas, come hang out with us. You can always check out the studio.
Unless your name is Sammy. Remember Sammy?
Yeah, that dude was weird, man.
It was very weird. Anyways, what's not weird is the ETFs. Take a look from Farside, ETF Flows yesterday. BlackRock took the crown with 93.7 million in outflows. Fidelity had a big day as well, 67 million. And then ARK brought in $62 million in ETF flows. Grayscale was positive as well, bringing in 4.6 million, which brought our cumulative total to a net positive of $257.3 million in inflows. Bitwise, I was going to mention Bitwise has 1.4 million. We have the CIO of Bitwise joining us on Monday, Matt Hogan. Super excited. First time on the show. We're going to talk all about ETFs. And then we're going to it's going to be fun, man. We're excited. Well, hopefully you're excited as well. So do not want to miss Friday's or a Monday show. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Bitcoin ETF inflows in May have already offset April's outflows. Super bullish. Forrest and I briefly touched on this yesterday. Typically, April has been a very bullish month and May has been a bearish month, hence the name sell in May and go away. It seems to be the opposite, right? April was a bearish month and May so far has been pretty bullish as Bitcoin is fighting to stay above $66,000 at around, it did hit 67. But Rob, what are your thoughts on the ETF flows and kind of where we are in the cycle, kind of breaking that pattern of bullish April, bearish May? Is this all attributed to the ETF or what do you think?
Well, the earlier rally in the cycle where we crossed all-time highs prior to even the halving was first time that's ever happened. Absolutely attributed to the ETF. I mean, Wall Street, the world's largest financial market, has offered Bitcoin. I mean, I know it's not a listing like an exchange, but essentially, if you buy, sell, or trade on Wall Street or here in the United States, you can now just simply buy and custody Bitcoin. Obviously, not your keys, not your crypto. However, just shy of that, right? We're leveraging the custodial agents that are world-renowned asset managers. BlackRock, largest asset manager, one of the largest companies. If you were to compare them to a country, it'd be in the top 5. Now, they're custodying crypto for you. Also, just the simple removal of the need to custody through seed phrase and that pain point is gone, right?
I think a big one too, Rob, more for maybe institutions and companies is taxes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, but I mean, just imagine if you were a retirement fund, or say you were a family medical practice, and you have a couple $1 million, and you want to get a position on Bitcoin. Imagine the headaches of trying to take your family practice, take that money, put it in Bitcoin, custody it, and be rest assured that you're not going to have any point of failure for that seed phrase, right? I mean, imagine if you had 5 people owning a business and everyone's like, well, you're going to hold the seed phrase? No, I'm going to hold the seed phrase. No, well, when we do a 3-factor, I feel like it just removes a lot of confusion to simply say, hey, the family practice here or the pension fund or whatever it is, we're gonna get exposure to Bitcoin. We're just gonna go and buy the stock, right? It's pretty simple, right? And I think that it offers the services for a majority of people, right? I mean, I know anyone in my family, if they wanted to get Bitcoin, I would just simply tell them to buy an ETF, unless you really want to do the research on how to custody it yourself. And so I think that ease of use, and also the nod from the SEC, right, is now you're not gonna be afraid to.
That
get
wasn't a
sued.
nod. That was like a stare down. Like, yeah, we don't believe in this. We don't recommend it. But yeah, here you go.
Well, hey, I mean, the fear of getting sued by the SEC as a company for having Bitcoin exposure is gone, right? You're not gonna say, hey, let's buy the ETF. Is the SEC gonna sue us for this? No. So I think there was a gray area before. I know MicroStrategy and a handful of other companies just said, F you, we'll buy it regardless. But now, I mean, there's really not even a conversation to say, hey, if I buy the Bitcoin ETF as a company, I don't have any liability from the SEC as far as breaking any laws, right? So I think both of that is the reason that we're seeing such this influx. And then banks, man. Banks, I know. What was the bank that would just that picked some up? It was because we got JP Morgan Stanley, yeah. And so I think that the banks represent the biggest financial players, and they're the ones that are buying Bitcoin. And so,
and if SOB 121, if Joe Biden doesn't veto it, that could potentially be a game changer. I know Forrest had a hot take about it yesterday, but
you think it's still going to get vetoed? I know he had his press release where he said the executive office was going to veto it.
I kind of think so, because I think the person that is loudest in his ear is none other than Miss Elizabeth Warren, and she had a 6-minute monologue as far as poof. Remember that? Did you see that?
Mm-mm.
Talking about all the crypto hacks, and poof, it's gone, and poof, our savings are gone. So,
but doesn't it just make sense for like banks at least to have services for stable coins? I mean, at minimum, right? I mean,
I would love to be able to, because obviously running a business, some sponsors pay us in stable coins, especially the ones that are not here in the US. And so for me to have to take it, sell it into cash, deposit it, then take that, put it into the bank account. If I can just put that directly into the bank account.
The whole reason you on and off board, right? You would remove if you're playing around in DeFi, you pretty much remove an exchange, right? If you say, hey, look, man, I want to go pick up this meme coin, or I want to do a smart contract, buy an NFT, whatever it is for DeFi. If you say, hey, look, man, all you got to do is just buy some stable coin through your bank, right? You just log on to your bank app, buy some Tether, USDC, whatever it is. And then from there, obviously, if you're buying the stable coin, it has an address, a crypto address. And then from there, you just send it to whatever platform you want. You just send it to MetaMask, or you send it to whatever staking protocol or layer 1 smart contract. So I don't know, man. I feel like the world of crypto will become a lot more simple if the banks just offer a stable coin. And right now, and they'll be incentivized to do so as well. So,
there's a reason PayPal launched their own stablecoin, right? You look at Tether. What was it, like $2 billion or $2 billion in revenue or in profit in one quarter? You don't think banks are going to look at that and be like, yeah, we're going to get a piece of that pie?
mm-hmm.
Speaking of stablecoins, I want to share this from former House Speaker Paul Ryan about how stablecoins can further cement the dominance of the United States dollar. Pretty interesting here.
I guess the question is, what could you do now, knowing we have debt problems in the future? I think there's a couple of things Congress could do. They're not, but maybe they'll get something done. I think stablecoin legislation would be a good step in the right direction. That could be helpful. That could be done this year, but I don't see anything other than that on the horizon.
Let's talk about stablecoin, because I've heard you say that actually getting legislation on that could help treasury auctions. And when you said it, I said, what's the connection there? Take our audience through that connection.
Yeah, so stable coins, which are digital private sector dollar-backed currencies. It's not crypto because it's tethered to the US dollar. They have to have dollar-backed assets. They have to have treasuries or cash to back those stable coins. There's not a law that governs these right now, so they aren't really deployed. But if you actually have a law, which Patrick McHenry in Chair Waters, Maxine Waters and Patrick McHenry are putting a deal together. Schumer is in talks with them. I think there's a reasonable chance they could get a deal on stablecoin legislation. That means you have a legal framework in which you have stablecoins deployed. You'd go from a couple $100 billion of stablecoins to, maybe trillions. Right now, stablecoins are like the 16th largest buyer of bonds, bills, and notes among all sovereigns. If you actually regulate stablecoins, have them deployed, that does two things. That gets the U.S. dollar more deeply ingrained in the oncoming digitization of currencies. That's a good thing. And you create new consumers' demand for our bonds because they have to have those to back up the stablecoins. So more demand for treasuries, more use of a digital dollar throughout the system to help better entrench the dollar. It's a win-win situation for America. I think it's a no-brainer. I'm hopeful, cautiously optimistic Congress might do that this year still. There are good talks happening. And that's one thing you could do on the margin to try and, improve demand for our bonds and improve dollar.
Boris, could stable coins be the dark horse that save the U.S. and the economy from the de-dollarization that is continuing to happen on a global scale?
No, I don't think anything's going to save that. I mean, it might help in the short term,
Okay.
but the reason being is it's like they're not going to stop printing money. Like the only thing that you can that can save the U.S. dollar from just eventual inflationary doom is you've got to stop printing. Right. And do we really think that we're going to stop printing and issuing absurd amounts of debt?
But Forrest, sorry to cut you off before we move on to your next point, but the whole idea of like hyperinflation, right, is the fact that we know they're going to keep printing money. 100% agree with you. But the idea of getting this hyperinflation is there's just not going to be as many buyers of U.S. treasuries, right? Because if there's not buyers and the Fed has to put it on their balance sheet, now more of that circulating, the new circulating dollars and supply stays in the U.S., causing inflation versus going overseas and being more kind of broad. If there's a stablecoin legislation and banks now can launch stablecoins and they have to go out and buy, aren't you creating a new plethora of buyers of said printed money, which I'm not saying we're not going to see hyperinflation at some point in the U.S., but it maybe kicks that can down the road longer, which obviously, the longer we have to prepare, the better.
Yeah. Like I said, it'll definitely help delay the inevitable for some period of time. But maybe we don't have to do treasury buybacks quite as quickly or quite as soon. But eventually, like even today, I think I saw a headline that BRICS is trying to create their own currency. Like they're going to be fewer and fewer buyers for treasuries, and maybe this solution, the stablecoins, stablecoin legislation and the proliferation of stablecoins, which I think is going to happen, and I'm very bullish on happening. Maybe that helps offset some of that loss in demand for treasuries. But in the long run, I mean, they're going to continue to print money and continue to issue debt. They're going to give. They're going to take as much rope as we give. So even if this does help delay the inevitable, they're just going to print up until that threshold and accelerate the rate of printing if they have that demand coming in for treasuries. I just don't see any world in which the Fed and Congress reins it in and stops. I mean, you talk about not to be a doomsdayer, but China decides to move into Taiwan. Okay, now we've got China, Taiwan, we've got Ukraine, Russia, and we've got Israel, Palestine. We've got potentially 3 wars that we're potentially funding and printing money for and sending aid packages for. I just don't see any world in which this gets reined in, from the political side of things. So it's hard for me to look at this as like the silver bullet solution that's going to save us from inflation. Maybe it helps delay the inevitable, but that's just a Band-Aid on a bullet wound in the grand scheme of things.
Fiat is broken. There's no doubt about that, especially here in the United States with the dollar. The system itself is moving even at a faster pace down this trek of hyperinflation, right? And so, is this a fix of fiat? No, absolutely not. Is stable coins going to remedy or save the United States. No, but I do think that politicians will look. The system obviously is broken. They're going to need more money, as you mentioned. There's two war fronts that the United States is financing. Could there be a third? Absolutely. Even if there isn't a third, I think even at the rate that we're at, just simply making interest payments on borrowed debt in its own, and we're borrowing money, we're printing money to pay down interest. And so the system itself is broken. But I do think that politicians will look and say, hey, man, we need to bring some more money. Yes, you could print, but at the end of the day, you still need to bring in more money. So I do think that
Someone's got to buy.
I think that people, right? I think that that Congress will identify, hey, there's a lot of money to be made here. But my big takeaway from said this interview, or just when you think about it, is that the market cap of Tether is 100 billion. The market cap of USDC is 10 billion. And
no, USDC is 33.
Is it 33?
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. So, anyways, still 100 billion, 30 billion.
Big disparity.
And what we heard in that interview was that it's going to be in the trillions of dollars, right? Trillions of dollars worth of stablecoins. And so for me, the big takeaway is not, what does that do for the U.S. economy? What does that mean for the treasury market? Who cares? What does that mean for crypto? Well, hey, damn, you're gonna have this fuel sitting there, right? You're gonna have these assets that are traditionally in dollars in bank accounts, and they're gonna be sitting there. This fuel is gonna be prime and ready to deploy into the crypto markets, because essentially, you know, he had mentioned in that interview that stablecoins aren't crypto. Yeah, they're not blockchain crypto in the decentralized world that we know it, but they operate and they're found on crypto networks. So just imagine how much liquidity it will be added to the markets if the United States says, hey, banks, or hey, legislation, like, let's get stable coins as an easily bought asset with regulatory framework to say, hey, look, this stable coin, this USDC, it's backed by dollars, and here's a law that says the issuer needs to be transparent. You have $100 million worth of Tether, or $100 billion worth of a stable coin. Where's the dollars at? Let's verify that it's there. That regulatory framework, plus just simply letting banks custody, issue, and sell you a stable coin, would, in his words, get trillions of dollars of stable coins into the market. This trillions of dollars worth of money just sitting on the sidelines ready to deploy in the crypto markets. And so if we see this come of age this year, in this calendar year, by the end of 2024, my God, if you add that to the growing reasons that this crypto bull market is going to pop off, we've already discussed election year. We know that the monetary policy and the executive office likes to ease the interest rates, spur economic activity, which is always bode well for crypto. You have that. You have post-halving. You have the ETF with the markets. If you turn on the stable coin from banks and the U.S. government, my God, you're going to see what we saw in 2021. Like, you will see that run up. Like, then there's nothing stopping Bitcoin from hitting that $250,000, that $500,000. I'm sure of it. If stable coins plus Trump comes in office, not even a
or
Trump
anyone
supporter.
besides Biden.
Yeah, man,
Someone who's a little more perfect.
Man.
Another I want to say on the altcoins here. Another project, it's in the thumbnail, is Hadera. So Hadera new account creation booms as the token gets boosted. Hadera Network is growing its transaction count and active addresses. The growth is long term and mostly driven by DeFi. And speaking of DeFi, you can see Hadera's market cap is only at $110 million, but it is up You take a look here, it is up massively. Even at the start of this rally, this was back in February 9th, a 30% rally for TVL, and it is continuing to climb. It did top out at around $150 million right around the beginning of March. Did taper off a little bit, but it's back on the up and up. And this is led by Saucer Swap and Stater, which is their liquid staking, which is up 62% over the last month, 47% over the last 7 days. Hadera is one of those chains that has a lot of narratives going for it as well, including RWAs. A big thing for Hadera and people in the community is, hey, their governing council has some of the biggest names in the world of just business. You talk about likes of Boeing, the likes of, well, maybe not Boeing anymore.
Amazon, bro.
Amazon, Google. I guess let's start with you first, Forrest. What's your outlook on Hadera? And maybe if you want to talk through it on a chart, is this a sleeper project that maybe you have on your radar? And what's the price action looking like on HBAR?
I think you're muted there, Forrest.
There we go. All right, let's find an HBAR chart. Yeah, so this isn't something that I'm particularly looking at deeply. We saw that big news come out that got, I think this had something to do with BlackRock. I'm not sure specifically what it was.
Yeah.
But it did get fully retraced on the latest. And then, yeah, if we just, throw in, we kind of have a resistance level. I don't know, over 12 cents or so, starts to look pretty decent. But from a fundamental perspective, I get like real world asset narrative. Personally, it's just not on the radar for me. And it's not, I don't care about, centralization. A lot of people are like, Hadera's, centralized, it's governing council instead of, decentralized. That stuff doesn't bother me one bit. It's just, I'm not seeing a ton of users. I guess the TVL's starting to pick up a little bit. If we start to see like the on-chain numbers look better, and more use cases come in specifically for Hadera Hashgraph, then maybe, but for me right now, just looking at the chart here, let's go into like the 4 hour, this to look a lot. So we had like, obviously our first deviation above this level. This level is about 12.1 cents. Small deviation above, couldn't sustain. We had that big pump that went above. And you'll see when we kind of zoom in a little bit, the bounce off of that big pump held resistance at 12 and resistance. If we get rid of that deviation, right now what we're actually seeing is this nice kind of long ascending triangle. If we break through this 12.1 cent level, that is a big resistance level to take out, and assuming we hold above it. And I would say that we probably would hold above it just because we've tested it multiple times now, and we're seeing 1, 2, 3 higher lows into it. We just take out this high. I start to get pretty bullish on this chart. Again, it's not something that I'm interested in holding for a long period of time, but I'd take a trade here by all means. This is a pretty decent, pretty clean chart. And then we just look at the basic downtrend that we've broken and chopped sideways out of, starting to funnel sideways and break upwards. I would say that backed with like just the real world asset narrative that we're starting to see right now. This chart does look very good for a trade above 12 cents. Again, I want to see this break and hold above 12 cents. And then you can get into some pretty large targets, obviously filling this wick here at 18 cents. Off of that big pump. So, I mean, that's 33% right there, just to go up to that most recent wick. And then if we start getting into like some historical support and resistance, we're talking about 19, 20 cents all the way up to 26 cents. So, yeah, I'd actually say if you're willing to ignore this kind of pump here, this is starting to look really, really nice. Inverse head and shoulders forming as well. So above 12.1 cents, I would say is a long for HBAR. Yeah, pretty straightforward long at that.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Forrest. I want to move on from HBAR to Avalanche. So Avalanche rising, will the Wine Capital Fund turbocharge gains above $40? AVAX had a nice rally up to, I think it was almost $60, has pulled back. Let's take a look at where AVAX is currently. Currently ranked number 12 on CMC at $36.42, up 6.8% over the last 24 hours. But going back to this article here, Fine Wine Investment Fund tokenized on Avalanche. I feel like Avalanche has the most narratives, the most like 100x narratives of all the layer ones. You got RWAs, you got gaming, you got tokenization, of course, here. And then you have just everything else that drives narratives. It's fast, it's scalable, the subnets, right? Avalanche was ranked. I think I ranked it in the A tier on my ranking video we did last week. Definitely go check that out if you haven't already. But Avalanche has announced tokenizing a fine wine investment fund, a move that would see the platform ride on the wave of tokenization. In a statement, Avalanche said the wine capital fund has been tokenized by Oasis Pro and listed on ATS via the Avalanche C chain, where smart contracts are deployed. Now, what is the uniqueness here? So the ATS is Oasis Pro's trading platform, which is registered with the SEC. Interesting there. By making inroads into the fine wine markets, which is estimated to be worth over $400 billion, the platform aims to democratize access, making it available to more investors. And then they pulled this data here from that RWA website I shared earlier. But Forrest, I'm assuming you're pretty bullish on RWAs and the whole narrative, right? You have chains like Ethereum, Avalanche is doing it. There's other ones like Ondo. What are your thoughts on Avalanche? Do you kind of agree with me as far as, hey, this thing probably has the most like 100x narratives going for it? And is there one part of Avalanche or one thing that you're super bullish on with the Avalanche ecosystem?
Yeah, Avalanche is solid, obviously. The chart's looking pretty solid. I'll share my screen briefly here. So I like Avalanche, fits in the real world asset narrative really well. Also fits in the gaming narrative, which I'm a little less bullish on than the average person. But if that ever does kick up into high gear, it does look, it does benefit AVAX quite a bit with all of the gaming subnets that it has. Look, pretty clear, pretty straight shot in my opinion. We've broken our downtrend line. We need to come in and make a higher high here. But we have made a nice series of higher lows. We've held the bottom of the range here at $29, $30. I think it's a pretty straight shot to a back test of $50. Now, you don't want to get rejected at $50 because then again, you've got that nasty head and shoulders pattern forming. So we want to see this break through $50. But I think this is very, very likely to go test $50 if we see continuation out of this Bitcoin trend upwards. So I'll stop sharing here and bullish on AVAX to a minimum of $50 there on the chart.
Rob, are you more bullish on if you had to pick one, Avalanche or Hadera? What do you think is the better play for this cycle?
It's a tough one, man. I feel like Avalanche is making more movement, more buzz and retail. Now, I think Hadera's probably building. If I were to say, hey man, which company would I like to work for, or which company I think is going to be further along 5-10 years from now, I think Hadera, no brainer. But going into this bull market, I just feel like there's a big community for Avalanche, and I think they're just kind of pretty trendy right now, right? And so there's not a lot of layer ones. I know there's a lot of layer ones that are listed out there on CoinMarketCap. I know there's a lot of options to pick from, but the communities for the layer ones aren't that strong, right? I mean, aren't that deep. You got Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, and what's next? Avalanche, right? And so
You're talking about community?
Yeah, community, people that are dApps and people building, people using it and sending assets and transactions and smart contracts and particularly for Avalanche gaming. And so I feel like they have a lot going on. And I think that a lot of people are plugged into the Avalanche network. And so for me right now, I think that means the most in the short term. But I do think that methodically building these partnerships and the direction that they're going, I think Hadera is going to be a winner in the long term. But if you're asking me on a 2 to 3 year time horizon, this next bull market, I like Avalanche. I can't deny it.
What about you, Forrest? Do you kind of agree here? You had to pick between one.
Yeah, I think AVAX just has more users, more activity, more developers, more traction, bigger community. I just feel a little bit safer in AVAX versus HBAR personally.
I want to know what the chat thinks. What are you more bullish on? Doesn't mean the one you don't pick is a bad project or is not going to do well, but what are you more bullish on? Are you more bullish on Avalanche or Hadera? Put a 1 for AVAX, put a 2 for HBAR. Or if you're a member of the channel, we don't have an AVAX emoji, do we?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So 1 for Avalanche, 2 for Hadera. Let us know in the comment section, and then we'll go over that, and we'll kind of do a little tally here. I want to stay on altcoin. So pretty altcoin heavy show today. But this was interesting. Altcoins a relatively huge risk as days of big returns are gone, says one analyst. The high risk, high reward theory of altcoins might be tilting toward the former, which is high risk, as big gains are now less likely due to weak narratives driving the crypto market. Marcus Thielen, the head of research at 10x, said, while tactical opportunities exist, the era of 100x returns may well be behind us. He said past altcoin bull markets had distinct characteristics that drew in more money, but this cycle has seen tighter capital evidenced by low total value locked and dearth of venture capital investments. What are your thoughts there, Forrest? Do you agree with what this guy is saying? Or do you have a contrarian view here?
No, I mean, I generally agree. Like, you've got to you can't just ape into any project now. There's just there's so much saturation, and there's just so many scams from venture capitalists that come in and they fund these projects and then they launch them at low circulating supply and high fully diluted market caps, and then retail comes in and pumps them, and then they dump on retail's head. And that's really why we're seeing meme coins run so hard, is because people are sick and tired of buying these low circulating supply venture capital backed coins and getting dumped on. So you kind of have a lot of saturation there, and just a lot of supply unlocks from a lot of these VC backed tokens, which is driving a lot of a lot of prices of a lot of altcoins down. But I still think there's massive opportunities. Like, I think there's insane opportunities in a variety of different narratives. Our real world assets, AI, meme coins in general, all pretty solid narratives. And if you can pick some good projects within those narratives that aren't maliciously backed by funds or have other malicious factors associated with them, then I think there's a lot of opportunities. And I actually think altcoins. I mean, look, if you want, you're just not going to get more than a 2 to 4x out of Bitcoin. It's just like you're not. It's at least in like a 3 to 4 year time span. If you're looking for higher returns, you just have to go into the altcoin market if you're talking about crypto, or you've got to start taking out some leverage, which is risky in and of itself. So I still think the vast majority of the opportunity lies in the altcoin space.
Of course, I want to do some rapid fire here with you, okay? And I'm gonna throw out 2 altcoins, and I want you to pick one. And I want you to just base your pick on this cycle, which one's going to make you the most money, okay? So Solana or Avalanche?
Solana.
Okay. Toncoin or Cardano?
Neither.
You got to pick one. He said neither.
Cardano.
Cardano.
Cardano, yeah.
Is there like I'm going to go a little deeper on this one. Is it just price perspective, or do you think, or is your outlook on the project bullish?
I think that it's more like the lesser of two evils. I just think there's so much more, like, who's left to sell Cardano? Like, if you are bag holding Cardano, you are a believer. Like, Cardano, like, right now just has a bunch of believers who probably aren't going to be turning around and selling if the market craps out. Toncoin has just been pumped and pumped and pumped. It's a top 10 token where 90% of the supply is in the top 100 wallets. So I feel like the risk of Toncoin is horrendous right now. And Cardano still has potential. Cardano, like I know a lot of people call me a Cardano hater. It's just been an underperformer, but it does have a lot of potential to pump pretty hard if retail comes into this bull market.
Okay, Doge or SHIB?
Doge, 100% Doge.
What about all the cool things SHIB is doing, like the taco trucks and?
I mean, look, both are technically meme coins, but just Doge is Doge. I like if it starts pumping, it pumps hard. I think it has more upside.
Okay. What about Polkadot or Tron?
Oh, again, this would be another neither for me. Probably Tron, because I think it's rigged. I think it's, there's some chance that it just drops out. Something crazy happens and it goes to zero. It's like like Justin Sun gets put in jail or something. But I think it's just propped up and it's probably rigged to some degree. There's a lot of shady stablecoin stuff that happens on Tron. But if you look at the chart, it's been pretty steadily up, whereas Polkadot's been really, really underperforming. So if I go strictly off of the chart and historical performance, Tron's track record's a lot better this cycle.
Interesting. Okay. What about Near Protocol and Avalanche?
I don't think you could go wrong with either. I like both. Near's been showing a lot of strength right now, and AVAX is showing a lot of weakness. That being said, I think real world assets are really going to be a big narrative, and potentially, I think and normally in a bull market, you really want to go with strength over weakness. Like you really want to pile in on what's moving upwards. That being said, I think we're at a point where we could see an inflection point and we could start to see that trend reverse a little bit in AVAX's favor. So I would say AVAX at this direct point in time. But if Near Protocol got a big correction, I'd jump on Near.
Okay. What about Arweave or Filecoin? Both storage, kind of that narrative. Filecoin has their Filecoin virtual machine, but Arweave has the AO supercomputer. What are your thoughts there?
Arweave is showing just an insane amount of strength. I'd want to add fuel on that fire. Filecoin, it's got potential. Don't get me wrong, but also the narrative that we keep hearing about is AI. We're not hearing file storage narratives this market cycle. We are hearing AI narratives. So I would want to align myself with the AI narrative and, have the benefit of file storage as well. So I'd go Arweave. Okay.
And then last one, XLM or XRP. XLM, remember, the chart I showed with the RWAs, they got $420 million in RWA. We know they're both ISO tokens. XLM or XRP, who's got more upside?
So this is one where I think it's completely I don't think it matters. If one pumps, then the other is going to pump. They're extraordinarily correlated. I think you could toss it into either. That being said, I know XLM has the real world asset narrative. My prediction has been that XRP is going to pivot into real world assets and FX and commodities tokenization. That being said, if you want, potential beta or on that narrative, or you want, more upside, I think there's nothing wrong with going to XLM. If XRP pumped, every time XRP has ever pumped, XLM's right there behind it. So, XLM is what I would go with, even though I'm kind of long XRP at the moment.
Now, this is a very important one. I know I said last one, but this is really the last one. If you can only get rid of one for the sake of crypto, Elizabeth Warren or Gary Gensler?
Probably Gary Gensler, just because I actually I don't know how much negative, I know I know Elizabeth Warren is very anti-crypto and talks a lot about, poorly about crypto, but I think Gary Gensler has more actual negative impact on crypto with him going after directly going after Coinbase, directly going after these companies, whereas Senator Elizabeth Warren is kind of more bark than bite. I know she has had direct negative impact, but I feel like Gary Gensler is actually the one that's involved in these, wrapping up crypto in these court cases, Ripple, Coinbase, and so on and so forth, Binance going after CZ. It's just, I think I think Gary Gensler's the worst of the two for crypto. Although I'm not a fan of either.
Robin, got to get rid of. You can only get rid of one, Gary or Elizabeth.
Gary Gensler.
Gary. Okay. I don't know. I feel like Elizabeth. I feel like she's got more influence on a higher level, I guess. But yeah, Forrest, you talk about direct impact, right? Talk about Gary Gensler. All right. That'll do it for the show today. Forrest, always a pleasure having you on, my friend. If you want more Forrest and you want more of his insights, he does have some services. Research Hub is a big one. Forrest was kind enough to allow me access to that, and it's made me a lot of money, which at some point, Forrest, I'm going to have to either fly you out here and take you to dinner or just wait till you come to Vegas. If you want to learn more and you want some research dropped into your inbox, some real in-depth stuff that tokens that maybe aren't on your radar, this is things that, from an anecdotal standpoint and from me experiencing it, these are projects and tokens that haven't hit mainstream yet that people aren't really talking about that we're able to get exposure to. But to get those tokens on your radar, you need to do a lot of research. And if you're like me, there's not a lot of time during the day, right? There's only 24 hours. And so if you can leverage someone else's expertise, Forrest is the man to do it. There's a link in the description. And if you're a member of our community, you get 25% off on any product and service on the website. Make sure to use the link and use the coupon code. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our channel sponsor, KM's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow, visit bluewiretech.com. Guys, again, Monday, big show. Matt Hogan from Bitwise will be joining us. We're going to talk about everything Bitcoin and ETFs. It's going to be a really good show. And that'll do it. Gentlemen, anything else for us? Anything you'd like to add, or Robin, Rocco?
Oh, good.
I do have, I'm putting out a little meme coin call. Very high risk. Meme coins are high risk, but I'm going to put that out to subscribers, members tomorrow. So if anybody was looking for a reason to sign up, there's your reason.
Is it
high risk though?
Does it have that Trump potential for it?
I think it has 4 to 5x potential from here. Again, high risk. Meme coins are saturated right now. You really have to be careful with them. It's not something I would put a lot of money into, but I do think there's some really positive aspects to it that I'll be outlining and sending out tomorrow. So
amazing.
If nothing else, sign up, see if you like it, and just cancel after a month.
Why would you say that? I got a feeling people.
Well, I mean,
it's
money back guarantee.
If they like it, then they won't cancel. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that in my email. With that being said, guys, again, ICP big roadmap update video is going to be live here in about an hour and a half. You don't want to miss it. They are looking to integrate with the hottest layer 1 in crypto right now. That's going to be potentially massive. Also did some price analysis on ICP in that video as well. So make sure you watch that. With that being said, Rocco, thank you so much for tuning in. Also, big thank you to Forrest for joining us yesterday and today. Have a lovely weekend, you guys. We love you. Come back Monday for an amazing show. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next time.
Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us meme coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya, to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.